Oh, good afternoon and welcome to Glasgow Rangers Nation podcast with me, your host Owen James. Guys, wasn't planning on going live this afternoon, but just wanted to come and talk about all the boardroom changes, the prospective boardroom changes. Rumours of a board meeting today. I want to talk a bit over that. I want to talk about this new CEO and new chairman. Talk over that as well. A few things I want to get through in today's pod. That's the aim of today's pod. We're going to focus solely on those. The general kind of Rangers stuff, the general kind of, Clement twat and Rangers play shit football. We'll talk about tonight on the final word. Obviously, please come and join me for that. So, put out the video this morning. That video going out this morning about the new chairman and new CEO. And then obviously today there's been multiple rumours surfacing about the prospective board meeting that could happen today. Now that is another rumour that's going around today, and we'll certainly talk a little bit about that. Welcome along, guys, to the podcast. Obviously, thank you for joining me this afternoon, this Sunday afternoon, this rainy, horrible Sunday afternoon. I'm going to talk over obviously everything that's going on. We've got a poll running in the Sunday afternoon. There we go. Sorry about that. I've got the pod running in the background so I can set up polls. So we've got a poll running at this moment in time. I've got, if Clement was sacked, who would you want as new Rangers manager? I put 4 names in that poll: Muscat, McInnes, Knutson and Van Nistelrooy is kind of like the outsider. Let's have a look at some of your comments before we start this afternoon. Andy Mack says, a Tory to run Rangers, said after the Hearts game I won't be back until the manager is sacked and we had a new chair. Take that back. A fucking Tory running this club. Mate, Andy Mack, I've got to say, I just fundamentally disagree wholeheartedly with what you've just said there, mate. Look, I want to say one thing straight up about this. Let's get politics out of this. Let's put politics to one side, right? The fact that this guy Offord, I think that's his name, is Lord Offord, Lord Malcolm Offord of Garvell, is a Conservative, right? He sits for the Conservatives in the House of Lords. He was part of the last Conservative administration. Has got absolutely nothing to do with the fact that he is the new, looks like he will become the new Rangers chairman. Right, the fact that he supports the Conservative Party has absolutely zero to do with this at all. And he is not coming in to implement a political philosophy. He is not coming in to implement a set of Conservative policies. He is not coming in to forward the case of Kemi Badenoch, the Conservative Party leader. He is not coming in to further the Conservative Party. He is not going to expect the players to run around with "Vote Conservative" on their shirt. So the fact that he is a Conservative has absolutely nothing to do with his ability to run the club, with his talent to run the club. Because at the end of the day, if he was a Labour Party member, would we feel differently? Well, yes, I would feel differently. I don't really want to make this political, but I say this to you now. If he was Labour, I'd fucking hate him. But, but I would still give him the respect to do the job. The fact that he's a Conservative has absolutely nothing to do with it. He is not coming in to run a political... So if we're going to get into this philosophy then, that he can't be the chairman because he's a Tory, well then do we then now make that part of our recruitment process, that anyone who's a Conservative can't work for the club? Any manager who votes Conservative can't vote for the club, can't work for the club. Any player that votes Conservative can't vote for the club. Is that a change? Is that a change we're going to make? Because the argument that he is a Conservative, so therefore cannot be chairman, is just an absolute bullshit argument. It is an absolute bullshit argument. Who he supports politically, who he works for politically, has got absolutely nothing to do with his ability to be a chairman of a football club. And I've read this a couple of times today, not just Mandy, from a few people on X and on other sources, saying he's a Tory, hate them fuckers, we can't have a Tory in charge of our club, blah blah blah. What does it matter who he votes for? What are we going to get into next? If he's not straight, if he's not gay, if he's not black, if he's not white, what are we going to get into next? We're going to start discriminating on what? If he's a Catholic, he can't be in charge. If he's a Muslim, he can't be in charge. If he's a Sikh, he can't be. It's just, where do you stop with this? It's absolutely ludicrous. At the end of the day, if he comes in and if he does a good job, I couldn't care less if he was a transsexual Martian who emigrated to Jupiter, then to Earth, voted Conservative and slept with sheep every night. I genuinely couldn't care less as long as he's doing a good job. Really couldn't give a bollocks. Janet says, agreed, Owen, as long as he can run Rangers, that's all that matters. Derek says, according to the fourth official, it could well be the ex-Man U guy. We are going to talk about that on this. Potter not coming, he turned up his nose at Ajax. I'm good, Stephen. How are you? Airwolf says, because he's a Tory doesn't mean he's going to be bad for us. Ed Balls was chairman at Norwich. Norwich got promoted. People need to leave politics out and judge him how he runs the club. Absolutely spot on. Blue Nose John says, I would rather have a temporary manager till the end of the season, Owen. We will talk about this. Get those positions filled, says Smudge. I hate the Tories or capitalists the world over, but if he does a good job, I'll back him. Agreed. Well, I actually agree with you, Owen. Well said. Thank you, Ian. The SNP are more bad. Alan Beatty says, fuck the Tories. Mate, like I said, it doesn't matter whether he's a Tory, whether he's SNP, whether he's Labour, whether he's Reform UK, whether he's Liberal Democrat. Right? We all have our own political leanings, right? I could sit here and tell you my political philosophies, my political belief, but I'm not going to, because it's a football podcast, and I couldn't give a shit if he's... You know what? I couldn't give a shit if Nigel Farage became the chairman of Rangers, as long as he does a good job. Absolutely, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter how DL2. As long as they can run a tight ship, then I don't care who they are, says Geordie. Agreed. Another great point. I'm enjoying them all week. Yes, poor result yesterday, but if we get a CEO soon, things must change. Pete, I agree. And if he does a good job, I don't care if he's Hannibal the Cannibal. Absolutely, it doesn't matter if he's, like I said, if he's a Tory, if he's Reform, if he's Lib Dem, if he's Green. I mean, that's ridiculous. If he's SNP, whoever he is, it doesn't matter. I mean, what are we going to start doing now? Are we going to start interviewing Kareem Varani and say, right, Kareem, who do you vote for? Patrick Stewart, the new CEO, who do you vote for? Alex Ray, who do you vote for? Is that what we're going to get into now? And say, oh, you're a Tory, get out of our football club. I mean, it's a witch hunt. It's a witch hunt. And I'm sorry, it doesn't matter who you vote for, who you run for, who you are part of. It does not fucking matter to me, as long as you run the football club in the right way. Sean Maxwell said, we'd love Trump at Rangers, where his cash Rangers fans would all be happy. Absolutely. Geordie says, get big Nigel Farage with Trump. My God, that would be a combination, wouldn't it? That would be a hell of a combination. Nigel Farage and Trump. How do you see Jay? How you doing, buddy? Blue Nose says he's as long as he's not white and green. Absolutely, 100%. With a slight reference to, I think, Charles White there, obviously, as well. But look, let's deal with that. Let's deal with what we know. Okay, so we know that obviously that I like the play on words there, Blue Nose. That was very, very good. So we know that Malcolm Offord is the pretty much de facto new chairman of Rangers. A lot of the stories coming out, and like I said, this is Chris Jack. It's Rangers Review. Whatever you think of Rangers Review, whether you think Rangers Review are a bunch of fannies or whether you like them or don't like them, it doesn't really matter. They are fairly reliable when they break stories. When they say that someone isn't coming or someone is coming or something's going to happen at the club, 99% of the time it tends to happen. They're kind of like the Fabrizio Romano of Rangers in a way. So, it's pretty much guaranteed that Offord is coming as chairman. And I think, he apparently has already been involved in some of the decision-making processes. According to reports in the media today, he was involved in the appointment of the new CEO. I've got a feeling he was involved in the promotion for Niels Koppen as well. He was consulted over that. So I do kind of, get the impression there is already an involvement there from Offord, that he is already starting to get involved in the decision-making process. In fact, I wouldn't be surprised if he's already been consulted over the manager, if he's already been consulted over the direction the club's going in, if he's already been consulted over a number of different questions. So I generally wouldn't be surprised if all those questions hadn't already been asked of him. So there we go. JN says in the live chat, I wanted Muscat last time because of his attacking football style of play, and he has flexibility of formation depending on the players at his disposal. Good shout. We will get to that. We are going to talk managers in a bit. Afternoon, Owen, and all the bears in the chat. Janet, how you doing? Do these people not realise many Rangers players, ex-players, may be Tory voters? That comment shows what's wrong with the support. Alex says, who cares what his politics are as long as he can do the job? Yeah, absolutely, mate. 100% agree with you. Like I said, I don't give a monkey's who he votes for, who he represents. But we know, look, what we know about this guy Offord. We know that he is, we know that he is a member of the House of Lords. We know that he brings a lot of expertise in business, a lot of expertise in politics. He's a guy who has a track record of success in what he's done outside of football. So he's a law degree. He's got a law degree, so he's a qualified lawyer. He has had a 25-year career in the City of London, so he's worked with finance, with business. He's worked at the highest levels of finance. He's worked with, massive amounts of money. This is a guy who understands money, understands finance, understands how businesses work, understands how to make a profit. In 2014, he established the private equity boutique Badenoch & Co., which invests in Scottish SMEs that focus on manufacturing their products at home and selling abroad. So he's a guy who supports Scottish business. He's a guy who supports Scotland. He supports in what he's done. He's part of the Duke of Edinburgh's award. He's a regent of Edinburgh University. He is a guy who understands business. He understands money. He understands finance. And surely, at the end of the day, when you've got a club that has financial issues, which we have, I'm stopping short of saying we have financial difficulties. I'm not going to sit here and say we're in financial trouble, we're going to go bust, it's 2012 all over again. But we're a club that has not made a profit. We're a club that lost £17 million. We're a club that lost £7 million in the last accounts. We are in debt. We are in a situation where we need someone who has financial nous, financial brains, financial whatever. This is a guy who has, like I said, vast experience in the City of London, vast experience in private equity. So this is a guy who quite clearly knows, A, how to financially manage a company, how to run finance, B, knows how to find investment, knows how to go out and find investment. Now, what private equity firms do, like these Badenoch and whatever he was called again, is they will find investors and they will find investment into companies to enable companies to succeed. That's what they do. That's how they work. Now, if Offord has got a track record of bringing in financial investors and bringing investors to businesses, then all the better. All the better. If he can go out and get, investors to invest in Rangers and bring money into the club, then that's exactly what we need at this stage. We are in a position where we have not got any money. We are struggling to sign new players. We are struggling with the financial side of it. And I honestly believe if this guy can come in, he can find the financial investors, he can find outside investment, which he's got a track record for, then that's better for the club in the long run. Whatever we think of him, we've got to be positive. We've got to be positive. Janet says, afternoon, Owen, and all the bears in the chat. Afternoon. Well, we had that question there. They were just trolling us with Craig White and Charles Green. Lol. I think it's the raving loony pint involved him, mate. It's something like that. Clement has just gaslight us for a whole year. Correct. The next manager has to be a winner. Afternoon, Owen and fellow Bears. Stephen, you are right with your assertion there. Absolutely spot on. Rangers men on top of the poll. Surprise, surprise. Knutson done more that McInnes and Muscat. Owen C, as long as he does us a favour, that will do for me, says David. As long as he gets rid of the Park family, says Stephen. You don't need a law degree to know your skin. That's true, you don't. But like I said, it's more to do with the investment side of the business, Jim. The fact that he is a guy who's worked in the City of London. He's a guy that's worked with investment firms, with equity firms, knows how to get investment into business. That's what you need. Politics shouldn't come into football as long as the guy can do the Rangers job fine. Both the chairman and the CEO should be imminent appointments in position to sack Clement quickly. Good. He's a Brexiteer. It crippled Scotland's exports. And so, Alan, does it matter? Does it matter? Does it matter? Mate, Alan, he's not coming to implement a political philosophy. He's not coming to implement a set of conservative policies. He's coming to run a football club, to manage a football club as a chairman, to get finance involved, to run the club in an efficient way. Whether he voted for Brexit, whether he didn't vote for Brexit, whether I voted for Brexit or didn't vote for Brexit, does not matter. We are not here to talk about Brexit. We are not here to talk about Europe. We're not here to talk about the European Union, immigration, whatever. We're here to talk about football. And if we're going to get into that, Alan, then you need to then go, if we get right, let's say, for example, right, let's say, for argument's sake, someone like a Nigel Farage type character says to Rangers, I want to buy Rangers. Are you going to say no? I don't want your money because you voted for Brexit, mate? That's a ridiculous argument. The Parks would need to move continent if Rangers. Yeah, absolutely. Scotland's government was absolutely no control over the economy. It's reserved to Westminster. Right, can we stop the politics? I don't want to talk about politics at all. Get this guy and then bring Gattuso in as tackling coach. Good start, good idea. We're hemorrhaging 300 grand a week, so we better be good at finding new investors. Make a profit, yes. Win trophies is a must. Absolutely, that's what it's about. At the end of the day, as long as he gets the company to make a profit and the club to be successful again on the football field, I don't care if he is a Conservative, if he is SNP, if he is Labour, if he is Reform UK, a Liberal Democrat, a Green, he votes for the BNP, he's a member of the EDL. I couldn't give a monkey's what he does politically as long as he does the job for the club and takes the club forward. You know what? I'll give you an example, right? There's in this country, in the UK, right? There's a few people. He's a Tory, end of. Okay, Andy, and your point is what? What is your point about that? He's a Tory. Does it matter? Honestly, do you care? Why do we care that he's a Tory? If he can run a football club, you know, do we care? Do we care? If it came out tomorrow, Andy, that Walter Smith voted Conservative every single election and was a Conservative Party supporter, would you hate Walter Smith? If you came out tomorrow that Ali McCoist was a Conservative supporter, would you hate Ali McCoist? If it came out tomorrow that Brian Lau, sorry, not Brian, he doesn't count. If Paul Gascoigne voted Conservative in every election, would you hate Paul Gascoigne? Mate, seriously, you need to move on. Yes, it does. He's not coming to put any money in. Wouldn't touch a Tory with a shitty poll. Mate, I'm sorry, it's a non-argument for me. I wouldn't touch, if we're going to use that argument, I wouldn't touch anybody who votes Labour with a barge poll. Tory guy will be a unionist, just saying. True. League is already becoming a very boring as Celtic just shooting fish in a barrel and Rangers the wee boys being slapped about. Yeah, pretty much accurate. It's hilarious that politicians could be an issue with some fans. Tories have never had anti-Rangers agenda, lol. Exactly. It's crazy. You know, no idea who takes over, but the team is crap, agreed. Couldn't give a monkey's who voted for who. Rangers is the issue here. Exactly. 100%. I don't get it. I genuinely don't get it. I mean, I keep... Andy's not the only one, and Ian's not the only one. I've read it on social media this morning. I've read it on X this morning. He's a Tory. We don't want a Tory in charge of the club. I don't care. Does it matter if he's a Conservative? Seriously. He's not Margaret Thatcher. He's not Rishi Sunak. He's not an ex-Prime Minister. He's never had any real power in the Conservative Party. He's not the leader of the Conservative Party. He's never been leader of the Conservative Party. Does it matter that the guy is a member of the Conservative Party? You know what? If we're going to get into that, then what do we go down the route of with that? That, you know, that you're going to start questioning people like me and asking me, Owen, who do you vote for? And if I don't vote for the same party as you, if I say, for example, I don't, but if I did vote Conservative, would you not watch me anymore because I vote Conservative? Don't get it. Yeah. The unionists are all behind Starmer Wake Up people. Yeah, mate, I don't know. It's got that way a little bit. Honestly, don't understand why people are going on about political persuasion. Me neither. I don't get it either, Pete. I genuinely don't care. Geordie says, thoughts on what Butland said in his presser and post-match, Owen? Butland was spot on, mate. Butland was absolutely spot on with what he said. You know, he talked about it not being good enough. He talked about it not being up to standard. He talked about not being acceptable. He talked about it's got to be better. He talked about all the things. Jack Butland gave a captain's interview. Jack Butland gave a captain's interview. I want to say something. Watch Jack Butland's interview, then watch Philippe Clement's interview, and you tell me who's got more of a clue. You tell me who has got more of an idea about what is going on at this football club. Because I'll tell you something, it's Jack Butland over Philippe Clement. Clement said, I mean, Clement for me just talks crap whenever he speaks. He really does. But Jack Butland yesterday, Geordie, was spot on with what he said. And it wasn't, you know, the archetypal James Tavernier interview, you know, oh, we're disappointed, we'll learn from this, but we're really disappointed with the performance, we're disappointed with the result, we'll learn from it, we'll get better. Tick off the Tav bingo. You know, Butland was absolutely spot on with what he said. He really genuinely was. You know, I've got to say, Jack, I really do like what Jack Butland had to say post-match.
The second half to get going. The game is the way it is in the second half is because they're holding on to something, and we can't use that also as a positive that we were in the ascendancy or anything like that. We've got to be better. We're giving away too many easy goals. against teams that are just looking to hang on to something. So look, we've not won, so it's not ideal, and it's not a great result at all. And we should never be losing that. Should never be drawing that game. Feels like a loss. And these games have got to be wins.
Is that the main frustration, that first half, and really not being able to take control of the game here today?
It's not that we didn't take control. It's more just doing enough to take the game to them, take the game away from them. They come here and everything that surrounds it. They're coming here to try and get a result, to try and be difficult, try and be awkward, which is what teams are going to bring when they come here. But it needs more from us. It needs more from us to. And then these things don't happen because we're in the ascendancy in the first half, and we're playing with more intensity. And when we didn't do that in the first half, and we've not done it in enough first half so far this season, and made our lives difficult.
Is there a thing that you can put your finger on why that is?
It's not for the want of trying. It's not for the reminders. It's not for the. You have to do it. It's pointless speaking about it. Speak to you blue in the face about it. It's just got to be done. It's the standard, and in the end, you put yourself in difficult positions. And at the minute, we're doing that. Hate having these conversations. It's not what the fans deserve that are travelled. It's not what the ground staff, everyone else deserve. They've got the game and the pitch and the surrounding areas in positions in a state to play. It's not what the paying fans deserve from the game today. So I didn't enjoy that. Don't enjoy the result, and we need to do more. We need to do much more.
How do you now put yourselves up as a squad ahead of Thursday night now?
Yeah, it's the only way you can, and that's win. It's the only thing that's accepted. It's the only thing that's good enough. Is to win Thursday night, and then to win at St Johnstone, and just have to keep going and put this in the back of our memories. But it's happening too often, and we need to go on a run. We've got a period of time now, really difficult, 3-4 months of games, a packed schedule. Everyone's going to feel awful about it today, and that's going to have to sit with people through the weekend into Monday and up until the game Thursday until you get that win again. But we need to build some momentum, and we need to start doing some things a lot better and more consistently.
I've got to say, I agree with every single word that he says there. Jim says that interview should be aimed at the manager. Absolutely. He did, he looked drained and void of any ideas how to get. He did, absolutely. He looked exhausted. I mean, you listen to what he said, and the overriding element of what comes out of that interview was, it is not good enough. It is not acceptable. It needs to get better. We need to start doing it better consistently. And we can't use the excuse that we were better second half. We can't say, we can't keep putting ourselves in this position. We can't keep playing like this. It is not good enough. It is simply not good enough. Listening to Jack Butland, and I think, he comes out and he says, when she asks how do we get back up for this? And he says, win on Thursday, because at the end of the day, we have to win, because that is all that is acceptable. That is all that is acceptable. And he's right. For this football club, that is all that is acceptable, is to win, isn't it? To win. Alex Wallace says, a goalkeeper is only as good as the defence in front of him. He can't be expected to save everything they let through. Butland is doing his best more than others in front of him. Robert says, I'm not brave or good enough to give a manager, but lad yesterday said, sack the board, keep the manager. I agree. Butland's the only reason Tav got dropped. He had a few games back, went through him. It's the only thing that made PC react, in my opinion. Seen a good point on Facebook that the team didn't want to play for the manager in the first, but the team in the second half played for the fans. That's a good point. Could well be true. Professional footballer who can't pass a ball. How many passes did Raskin misplace? He did misplace quite a few yesterday. Interesting, Matt. Can anyone see a win on Thursday? But it's Europe, and that's... I don't know, mate. Could anyone see us drawing with Olympiacos? Probably not. So you never know, mate. We do need an attacking-minded manager. I agree. Clement's presses Ian are just depressing. It's the same bullshit week in, week out, isn't it? It really genuinely is. I think, look, at the end of the day, getting back to what we were talking about, the board. I mean, obviously the next appointment that is interesting is the appointment, obviously, of Patrick Stewart. I've got to say, I was absolutely devastated that it's not Patrick Stewart, the Jean-Luc Picard, Patrick Stewart, the actor Patrick Stewart. I would love to see Patrick Stewart as the CEO. I mean, could you imagine it? Philippe, get us 3 points. Make it so. Yeah, I mean, brilliant. But no, I mean, this guy, look, again, you kind of look at it and you kind of say, well, people are saying, well, you know, he was only CEO for Manchester United for a few months. He did the job for 5. He didn't do the job for 5 minutes, but that's what people are coming out. You know, he did the job for 5 minutes. You know, he's not good enough. Yada yada yada. You know, have we ever thought that this is what we can get? This is where we're at now as a club, and that, you know, the fact that the guys work for Manchester United gives him an experience of working in a big football club. He's a guy who understands what it is to work for a big football club. He understands what it is to work for a dysfunctional football club. I mean, and people saying that, you know, that when he was at Manchester United, it was a massive shit show. Well, that's not down to him. That's down to the Glazers. That's down to Ed Woodward. I know he's gone now, but you know what, the work that Ed Woodward had done. That's down to Jim Ratcliffe. That's down to Eric Ten Hag. That's got nothing to do with Patrick Stewart. You know, Patrick Stewart didn't sign the players. Patrick Stewart didn't coach the team. Patrick Stewart didn't sell adverts. You know, that's not his job. He's got nothing to do with what's happened to Manchester United since Fergie. In terms of the shit off the field, they're fine. They're making money. They're a big club still. You know, on the field, they're a joke. That's got nothing to do with him. He didn't sign the players. He didn't sign off on the signings. He didn't hire the manager. So at the end of the day, I think to say that, you know, that he's not good enough is ridiculous. And it just gets to me a little bit, you know, when we've got fans demanding a new CEO, demanding a new chairman, demanding this, demanding it now. We need a new CEO now. We need a new chairman now. We need this sorted out now. We need it done quickly. And then we go, right, here's our new chairman. Here's our new CEO. Oh, no, we don't want those ones. I don't want those ones. I want different ones. It's like the toddler, isn't it? You know, I want sweets. I want sweets. I want sweets. Here's your sweets. I don't want those sweets. I want different sweets. I mean, grow up. Grow up. Judge the guy after 6 months. Judge Stewart after 6 months. If in 6 months' time it's still a shit show, if in 6 months' time it's still been badly run, if in 6 months' time Philippe Clement is still the manager, then yeah, judge him on that. Judge him on that. But if in 6 months' time we've got a new manager, we're playing better, we're bringing in alternative revenue streams, the contracts are sorted, the club's been run better, then judge him on that. Judge him on his record. Don't judge him on what he has done. Judge him on what he will do. You know, it's crazy. It's crazy. I said to Owen yesterday, this team are mostly Clement's favourites and know where we dropped, so couldn't care less. They'll keep their places. Heard Dessa's going in January window by a few Rangers pages. That would be good older if he did go. Clement is like the school, yeah, like Beale. Probably same department, mate, same school. Clement is an imposter. Like all imposters, he's being found out. Ibrox Noise are raging about this. There's a lot of people raging about it, mate. I'm still in shock. Tav never got a minute yesterday. I know. Crazy, mate. I thought he would have come on. Yesterday could have been worse. He could have played Tav, true. How diabolical was Dio yesterday? He was awful yesterday. He was awful. It's Patrick Stewart, he, him on LinkedIn. Not my cup of tea from that alone. Mate, that's a modern thing. You know, you get asked that on all job applications now. I think it's something you've got to fill in as standard on LinkedIn, mate. So I don't think, you know, I think that's a standard thing, mate. I'm starting a new job on Monday, and when I was filling in my application for this job, you had to fill in pronouns. You couldn't skip the section. If you skipped it, it kept erroring it back to that, and you had to put in your pronouns. So I'll tell you this, mate. You know, at the end of the day, it is what it is, mate. It is what it is. Ibrox like a more because of Clement, agreed. Patrick Stewart as Captain Picard. Yeah, unfortunately, it's not that one. Tav and Dessers don't deserve a start. They're utter garbage. Sick of seeing us going around in circles and side to side on the pitch. We need to be telling the squad that they treat the game like a porno. Funny. Knutson 3 titles to his name, yet McInnes is above him. A winner like Knutson who is unbeaten against Celtic, but he's not a Rangers man. Dessers is really bad. Thank you, Beale. Look at the wages Tavernier gets for what he produces. Absolute wage thief. I agree with that one, John. 30 grand a week. 30 grand a week. Beale didn't sign good players. He was an utter shite manager. He's more like a coach. Agreed. We've made Tav a multi-millionaire for what? 3 trophies. Another day, I will calm down. I agree, mate, on that one. Loads of comments coming in. Another foreign manager will be a massive gamble again. All successful Rangers teams, bar 1 or 2, are built on a Scottish manager with a core of 5 or 6 Scottish players. Yeah, I mean, Dick Advocat is the one that kind of stands out as the one a little bit out of the ordinary because of the fact, obviously, he spent a lot of money. But yeah, I mean, if you look at successful managers, Scott Simon, Willie Waddell, Graham Souness, Walter Smith, Big Eck, all Scottish. Stephen Gerrard, English, but still British. Don't care if it's wonky veg as long as it's veg. Agreed. If Clement's still managing in 6 months, we are in danger of being relegated. I think the fact that St John, some of the teams are really shit, we'll get away with it, mate. Send just eat to his house with a thank you Korean letter stating you're sacked. This is hard hee-haw guy. Hopefully get the deadwood out of the club, which is costing too much. Agreed. More and more worried about the money side of things. Yeah, absolutely. Tav was dropped to play versus Nice. Emmy, you'll probably find that he will start that. Absolutely. We need to play it safe till we're back on track. Well, too many Europeans and Englishmen couldn't care less if we beat Celtic or not, and that's the sad reality of it. I mean, I've said since deserted, signed, he's pish, got a dog's abuse for it, but yeah, he is, mate. He is pish. Yeah, absolutely. Advocate had very high standards. Muscat is technically British, although he played for Australia. Yeah, okay. I still think we'll finish second, but we'll finish third the way we're playing. Right, look, I mean, there are rumours. Andy, stop going about the Tories. Okay, right, let's talk a little bit about this rumoured board meeting. So there's a rumour going around at this moment in time that there is going to be a board meeting at some point today. That he will be sacked today. Now that is the rumour that he is. This board meeting. I don't know how true it is, whether or not it's true. It could be that there is going to be a board meeting today. Now people have said, well, there's no way there's going to be a board meeting, not when you're appointing a new CEO and new chairman. But I think we already know that Offord is playing a role in this, that Offord has already made decisions, has been part of the decision-making process. And look, you don't all need to be in the same place to have a board meeting these days. With modern technology, it can be done online, through Teams, through Skype, through StreamYard, through, lots of different ways of doing it. So, it could even be that Stuart and Offord are already involved, and they will be involved with this decision today, in this meeting today. Now, I don't know if this meeting goes ahead today. I don't know where it's taking place. I don't know if it's going to take place. It's just a very strong rumour that is going around on social media. It'll probably end up being nothing. It'll probably end up being completely false. We'll probably find that Chris Jack comes out later and dismisses it. So at the end of the day, it could be a whole load of bollocks. But I would hope that if there is a board meeting today, the decision is taken today and that he is got rid of today. In terms of what we do to the end of the season, there are two choices. The two choices are quite clear. One is we appoint an interim manager until the end of the season, and then we appoint a new manager in the calm of the summer once the season is over and there's not a pressure to get a new manager appointed. That we go out, we appoint someone like Barry Ferguson or Neil McCann, or we go and get someone who's out of work at the moment who could come in and do the job. Could be anyone. But Neil Warnock till the end of the season, anybody? But look, I mean, that's the one choice. Or the other choice is that we go out and actually get someone now. We go out and actually sign someone now. At the moment we're looking at it, and the candidates that we've got for the job on our poll today: Muscat, McInnes. We've got there Knutson, and obviously as well you've got on there my own personal choice, which will never happen, which is Van Nistelrooy. Let's have a quick look at your comments before we move on. McInnes and Ferguson, no brainer for me, says Ian. I like that. We knocked back 5 mil for Destas in the summer. Another smart move, board. Well done. Yeah, I agree with that one. No manager is safe pick unless it's Klopp or Pep. I agree with that one. And it doesn't matter who's in power; they're going to rob you regardless. Good question. Good answer, Matt. Where's the board? I don't know, mate. I'm guessing. No one mentions him. I'd love to see Derek Ferguson around the club. He'd take no prisoners. Good shout. Reckon tomorrow morning he'd be sacked or resign. I mean, that could be it. We don't want a foreigner. Airwolf Disney work, says Ali Quinn. What's a WhatsApp meeting? It could be a WhatsApp meeting, a video call, couldn't it? You can have video calls on WhatsApp these days. John Vietto says, I hope it's true that this can't go on. Loads of diehard fans feel completely disengaged from the club with this standard of behaviour both on and off the park. I agree. Alan Beaton says, McInnes for me. Rangers need someone who has proven ability to get beat Celtic. Play the youth team now, to be honest. Give them a chance, not the high wager frauds. Agreed on that one. Interesting. I'd take Warnock on an interim basis. So would I, mate. So would I. Is that the Chris Jack Day, the newspaper run with the high beat in charge? Yeah, I mean, let's face it, Johnny McFarlane is a high beat, isn't he? We know that. We know that. Sharks out now. Look, I mean, you're looking at the candidates. I mean, let's first of all dismiss 2 candidates, right? Let's take 2 candidates out of the reckoning straight away. Okay, so the first candidate we're going to take out of the reckoning is Graham Potter. Graham Potter is not going to be the next Rangers manager, okay? As much as I would love someone like Graham Potter as the next Rangers manager, it ain't going to happen. Why is it not going to happen? Well, it's not going to happen for 2 key reasons. Reason 1 is he wants an EPL job. He wants to work back in the Premier League. He wants to go back into the Premier League. Okay. And something is bound to come up in the Premier League within the next couple of months. Okay. You look at teams like Southampton, they're probably going to sack their manager. You look at teams like Leicester, they could well sack their manager. You look at, some other teams that are underperforming at the moment in the Premier League. You could well see them move on from their manager. So there is going to be EPL jobs upcoming within the next couple of months. That's the first reason. The second reason is we couldn't afford Graham Potter. And I've seen tweets on social media today saying it's got to be Graham Potter or nobody. It's got to be Graham Potter or nobody. I mean, I think these people that are tweeting out it's got to be Graham Potter or nobody are living in cloud cuckoo fantasy land, because the guy was on 200 grand a week at Chelsea, right? 200 grand a week at Chelsea, right? There is no way on God's green earth that Rangers are going to pay a manager 200 grand a week, okay? It is not going to happen. 200 grand a week is 10.4 million pounds a year. There is no way that Rangers are going to pay 10.4 million pound a year for a manager. Even if you take it and say, well, that was Chelsea, they're mental. They are mental. I agree with that one. I agree on that. At Brighton, he was paid £2 million a season, so 40 grand a week. Again, I can't see us giving him that contract. He was paid 2 million, so he was on 2 million a year at Brighton, 10 million a year at Chelsea. He's going to want somewhere in between that. There's no way we are going to pay a manager between 2 and 10 million to manage this club, because A, we can't afford it. B, it would basically mean that you're tying all your money up in the manager and you're not freeing that. So Potter, I think, is off the list. He is gone. Okay. The other one is Frank Lampard. Frank Lampard is set to become the new Coventry City manager in the EFL Championship. So Frank Lampard is well and truly off the table as well. Okay, so no chance that Lampard comes. Blue Nose says the board will panic when they see disinterest from the fan base. That is the best way to hurt the board, is to protest. Not buy merch, not go to games, hit them in the pocket. That's when it will change. That's when it will change. That was Popper's best game and it was still awful. I blame him for the goal. He was dreadful yesterday. Just as little chance of Knutson as there is a Potter, mate. I mean, probably true. We don't have the cash for him. McInnes and Neil McCann would get Rangers back on track. McCann was underrated. A good shout, mate. Good shout. They should, John, because it's getting really bad. Toxicity is getting unbearable. I wouldn't be surprised at all if we beat Nice and then turn out with a terrible league performance. Yeah, Dominic, I wouldn't either, because everyone expects us to go to the south of France and get absolutely skinned to death. So yeah, I agree with you, mate, on that one. I agree with you on that one. That's why last season was so important for us to win the league. We bottled it. All I know is we need the passion in the dugout and it spreads the team. Agreed on that one. For fuck's sake, I mean, us fans have a board meeting every week. We get bored watching this. I like that one. Negative management breeds negative players. Agreed. How much is McInnes getting at Kilmarnock? It will be nowhere near that, mate. I mean, I'll try and find out, but it'll be nowhere near that salary at all. It really genuinely won't. But so realistically, you can take those two straight off the table. They are not anywhere near what that's getting. So I can find out a little bit of information about McInnes management. He signed a contract extension in 2024 with them. Let's have a look. McInnes net worth 18 million. Around just monthly income, yearly income. He gets about 2 million a year altogether with all deals and everything else. So probably somewhere under, probably between 20 and 30 grand a week. I would imagine he's on. David Hutchinson says, we see these B team players. If they're not good enough, then why are we paying them? Good shout. Yeah, absolutely. Muscat, for me, knows the foreign market. Could well pick up players for pennies compared with the market here. I mean, that's obviously the Ange way, isn't it, of doing things. We'll get to this in a minute. Can't be watching Clement at the side of the pitch doing that stupid hand gesture anymore. Yeah, absolutely. 8 wins against 56 against Celtic. Airwolf, it's not. But then you're playing with Kilmarnock against Celtic. You're not playing with Rangers against Celtic. Seems Muscat eyes off the table as well. He said 2 weeks ago he's not interested, as when he spoke to us it was clear we wouldn't let him implement his own ideas. We're literally down to McInnes. That may well have changed now, obviously, given what's happened. So looking at the jobs, the 3 names that kind of come up, Van Nistelrooy is kind of my little outsider there. I mean, realistically, he's probably off the table as well, because I think there's a good chance he gets the Everton job. There's a good job he gets an EPL job. So, I don't possibly think that one's a goer. So, between Muscat and McInnes, now on the Derek McInnes front, the whip that's used to hit McInnes with is that he turned us down. So he's turned us down before. Well, I think we forget that was a decision he took after speaking to Walter Smith. He spoke to Walter Smith. He then took the decision not to take the Rangers job because he felt he wasn't ready for it. So, respect to him for that he felt he wasn't ready for that job. He wasn't ready for the level of job that Rangers had. He hadn't got the experience. And he spoke to Walter Smith, and Walter Smith and him had that conversation. And from that conversation, it comes out that he doesn't. Decisions. I do think it's unfair to constantly beat him with that stick that you turned us down, because like I said, that was a decision that was taken based on a conversation with Walter Smith and him admitting that he wasn't ready yet to take the Rangers job. So that's fair enough. What does McInnes bring to the table? Well, McInnes brings, first of all, understanding of the Scottish game. Right? He understands the Scottish game. He understands the Scottish League. He understands what teams do when they play the Old Firm. He understands how to overcome that. He is a manager who will put the low block in place against Rangers. He will put all those dirty dark arts tactics into play against Rangers. We know that. So look, he's got an understanding of the Scottish game. I think as well, we've got to get away from the snobbery, the anti McInnes snobbery. I think it's all part of this general snobbiness against Scottish managers, against Scottish players. Oh, they're not good enough. Oh, they're not good enough for us. I think that is a very, very bad attitude to have. I think if you gave McInnes our players and you gave him the ability to coach the team, the ability to organise the team, you would see a lot better product on the field. You'd see a better team than he's got with Kilmarnock, because the players are naturally better at Rangers. So I think it's wrong to completely rule out McInnes. Muscat, I think you're getting someone very, very similar to Ange Postecoglou. You're going down that route. Now, if you get Muscat, then at the end of the day, you need to be ready to allow him to implement his ideas in the same way that the Celtic board allowed Ange Postecoglou to implement his ideas, to bring in his players, to bring in his way of doing things. You need to have that ability to let go, to allow the manager to have some control over the team and the playing style and the players. So, and I do agree with what some of you have been saying. Muscat knows the Chinese market, he knows the Japanese market, he knows the Australian market. And we are in a position where financially we can't sign players from the top 5 leagues. We can't go to France, to Germany, to Italy, to England. We just can't afford it anymore. So, if we can go down to Japan or to China or to Australia and pick up some good footballers who come in and make a difference, then great, wonderful. I'm not saying we copy them from the other side of the city, but look at the other side of the city. You look at Maida, you look at Hatate, you look at Kyogo, you look at those types of players they've brought in, and they've been a success, and they've won titles, they've won cups, they've won competitions, they've qualified for the Champions League. So, maybe that is the way we look at it. So I do think that, out of all those names, Muscat and McInnes are the 2 that stand out if Clement was to be sacked. I don't mind the foreign option for me. Next manager would be Knutson, and he'd be readily available as his season's nearly over. I want a trophy in a box match. Well done, Robert. Let's give you the job. Whatever your political affiliation, Malcolm Offord is a talented, impressive and well-known financier of 40 years experience. This is the kind of guy the Doughball Rangers board needs. Agreed, esoteric. Absolutely. New name in the live chat. Welcome to you. I think that's exactly what I was saying at the top at the start of the program. I was saying that basically, you know, that's the type of person we need to bring money into the club. Spot on. Alan, I've dealt with that point. As I said, he turned down the job because he felt he wasn't ready, and he'd spoken to Walter Smith, and on Walter Smith's advice, I think that is the situation there. Owen, not beating him with a stick, but his team bottled it at the Sheep. Fair enough. Sorry, Bears. I had to take a call for my daughter, so I kind of lost track. No worries, mate. Hope your daughter's well. Most Scottish players aren't good enough, Owen. Remember, we want to be competing in Europe. We do, John, but I think in the short term, forget Europe. We want to be competing domestically because we aren't even fucking doing that at the moment, are we? We need a Scottish manager. McInnes is the best available. Martin Dill would do miles better than Clement's worst manager in the league. Davy Moyes for me. Dark Knight, good shout. Yeah, he does. That's a good shout as well, Scott, that nuts and knows that market. Only managed to have good win rates is if you're playing one of the best clubs in each country. You look at the play style versus bigger teams, and if they can get players up for a challenge. Agreed. This board needs addressing. They're idiots that have caused... Yeah, I agree, John. The board are an absolute embarrassment. They really genuinely are. But at the end of the day, as I've said, we need to look at this in terms of addressing where we are as a club and addressing every position. You know, we are looking now, I think we're bringing in Malcolm Offord as the new chairman. We're bringing in Patrick Stewart as the new CEO. So we're starting to put right those issues. We're starting to put right those issues, but we need to give them independence and freedom to take decisions. We need to give them the ability to look at the club with outside eyes, with a fresh pair of eyes, and say, right, that doesn't work. We need to change that. That does work. We'll keep that. That just needs tinkering with a little bit, and then it'll work. We need to give them that independence to make those decisions. If the board are going to try and control Offord, try and control Patrick Stewart, then we're not going to get anywhere. We're not going to change as a club. We're not going to move forward, you know, as a club. So I do feel that this is something we do need to do. We all want change for the better, but we are not going to agree with whoever it is. That just means the way we are Rangers fans. Exactly. We're one family and we fall out sometimes. Why have we got little pace? That's a great question, John. There is no pace in this team, isn't there? Moyes should take his pension. Fine Scotsman, a lord and a captain of the Enterprise. We've got it. This sorted. Agreed, mate. Agreed. If Lord Offord comes in riding on his horse in his shining armour, it'll be brilliant. And if Patrick Stewart beams down into the boardroom, it'll be absolutely fantastic, won't it? You know, beam me down, Scotty, or beam me up, Scotty. He might be saying that after 6 months at Rangers, beam me up, Scotty. I'll tell you. But look, it's the positive we've got to try. Look, as I said, I was live on TikTok this morning, guys. We did a live on TikTok this morning on the Glasgow Rangers Nation TikTok page there, and I talked about trying to find a positive, and it's hard. I said that this morning. It's really hard to find positives with this football club at this moment. So for me, I'm trying to look at this, Patrick Stewart and Lord Offord, as a positive and trying to find a positive in it. Trying to find some positive vibes from these decisions to try and move this club forward. Look, in a month's time, we might be sitting here going, fuck me, they were bad appointments. They're doing awful. It's getting worse. Or we might be sitting in a month and go, wow, what a great job they're doing. We don't know, do we? We've got to give them time to get this right. And look, Rangers as a football club is in a hell of a lot of trouble. It really is in a hell of a lot of trouble. And Offord, I admire Offord and Stewart for taking the jobs because they've got a lot of work to do. They really have got a lot of work to do, haven't they? What have we got? John Vietto says, remember Clement said when he came in, we'd be playing exciting, entertaining football. What happened to that? Mate, Clement said a lot of things that never came off. Like you'd see a better Rangers in October, November. We could get Mike Edwards and Tony Bloom. Fans were still moan. Correct, Airwolf. Michael Edwards, obviously the chief executive of Liverpool. Tony Bloom, the owner of Brighton. I'm just happy this podcast. This time I live in Thailand, 7 hours ahead. Wow, amazing, mate. Thank you for tuning in. Remember the 4 pillars? He meant pillows. Lol. Robert Clement will never play the young boys for whatever reason. I agree with that point. I'd rather have no Catholics running Rangers. Just my opinion. Our team is shite. Janet brings the lads, as Alan said. Beam me up, Scotty, is a Mandela effect. At no point was that ever said. True. Beam me up, Scotty. The Mandela effect. Stuart, I love the Mandela effect. Guys, if you've never ever If you don't know what the Mandela effect is, mate, seriously, if you've got Spotify or Apple Podcasts, find the podcast Conspiracy Theories. Find the episode on the Mandela effect. It's brilliant. It'll explain it all to you. Evening, Dado. How you doing, buddy? It's hard not. It's not hard. Play the youngsters. I agree. I would play the youngsters. JM Philip Lynn. I can't support that. My daughters are both Catholic. I can't stand listening to Clement send you to sleep. Agreed. Let's hope he is getting punted, mate. Let's Jim enough crossing themselves at the moment, mate. I can't agree with the anti-Catholic sentiments. My daughters are both Catholic. Grant says, I honestly don't think the players are actually that bad. I think they're being played out of position and having to stick to Clement's game plan, which is non-existent. Grant, I've said this all along. You know, if you look at Butland, Sterling, Suter, Ridvan, Barron, Bayrami, Cheney, that's 7 players. They're not all shit. They're quite good footballers. You surround them with some average players or some youth players, and they might actually produce something if they're properly coached, played in their rightful positions, and organised. I mean, I think I brought this team up yesterday, but you know, look, if we were to play this team, let's have a look. If we were to play this team, if this team was the team to run out on Saturday or Sunday against St Johnstone, I think we'd do well. I think we'd actually win the game. So let me just put a team out there for you. Right, here we go. So this is my team. Actually, I think I've done this. Butland, Sterling, Suter, Balogun, Ridvan, Barron, Bayrami and Rice, Cheney, Danilo and Finley Curtis. I think that team would win. Absolutely think that team would win. Get Warp in the boardroom. That's a nice one. I like that point. Very, very good indeed. Very good indeed. Right, guys, that is it for this afternoon. Thank you for coming along. We did miss that one, didn't we, Airwolf? Absolutely. Thank you for coming along. Please come and join us tonight, 8 o'clock, for the final word. Thank you for watching. As always, guys, please smash the like, smash the subscribe, comment, do all that good stuff. Thank you so much. We're back to speak again very soon here on the channel. We are the people.